Hello everyone and welcome to the box bag workshop. So first we're going to talk through all the pieces that are in your kit. So you will notice you have some different packets of hardware and you also have 3 pieces of leather. So this main piece of leather is what is going to make your box bag, and you also have a shorter piece of leather which is going to make a short strap with a buckle, and you also have a long strip of leather, so that is what is going to complete the strap when you finish your buckle later on. So we're going to talk through all the stages step by step in this tutorial workshop and explain all the hardware and the tools that you'll use to make this bag, and we hope you enjoy this workshop. So firstly, I'm just going to put the leather pieces aside for now, and you'll notice in your kit that you have a range of different screws and tools. So these screws are the female part that we will use to put your bag together. So the female part is the finished side of the screw, so that this is the finished side that we want to see on the outside of the bag. So the female part has a space where the screw will fit inside. So you'll have plenty of these and a few spare in case you lose any during the making process, and I'm just going to put them to one side. You also have the male counterpart to that screw, which you'll often see on the inside of the bag. So you'll notice they have a little cross on one side to use with a screwdriver, and they have a threaded part which fits inside the female part of the screw. So I'm just going to try and keep them separate so we don't get them mixed up. You will also notice that you have 2 more little bags. One will contain the elements to make your strap, which includes a buckle and a keeper, a metal keeper, which will keep your strap down, and some optional washers, which I'll talk about later on when we get to that stage. There's one part of the bag that you might like the screws to be a little bit tighter, and if so, you can use these optional washers, and I'll just leave them there for now. So in this bag, you will have the first step that you need in this workshop. So you will have a push lock, and it comes in 4 parts, and you'll also have a screwdriver in this packet as well. So the push lock comes in 4 parts. So you have this metal clip and it pushes in, you can feel it push in, and you have these prongs which fit through that push lock to secure it into the leather later on. You also have the opposite side, the side that the clip is going to go inside, and this comes also with a back piece. It's slightly indented on one side and concave on the outside, and these pieces will fit together later on as well. So these 4 parts is what we need to do first in this workshop. You also have a screwdriver, a small screwdriver, which will come with your kit. You probably have some other tools at home as well that you can use. Some of the parts of this bag can be difficult to reach, so these small screwdrivers can be very useful to use. So I'm going to put my screws and my washers just to one side for now, and also the buckle and the keeper, and I'm just going to start with these 4 parts that make the lock for this bag. We actually have to put the lock on first because we have to do that while the leather is flat. So our straps, I will also put them away for now. I have 2 straps, but we need them later on. We're not going to use them right now. We're going to concentrate on the main body of the bag and attaching our locks. So your leather is a hard wearing leather. It's from a tannery in the Netherlands where we source sustainably made leathers and treat the environment with respect and careful consideration of chemicals and how things get into the environment. All the hardware is from Italy. It's chrome plated Italian hardware, and all the pieces are made and handmade in Nottingham, ready for you to make a really beautiful bag with clever zero waste pattern cutting at a fraction of the cost that it would cost in a shop if you bought something similar. So the first part of the bag that we are going to start with is near the logo. So, and it's these 2 holes here that you need to look for. And this is actually the top of the bag. This is what will make the box shape later on. And this is where the locks will be placed. So the holes are all ready for you to attach your hardware, and later on this will clip into place. These sides will fold and be screwed down, and it will all make sense as you follow this video step by step. So the first 2 parts we need is the push lock with the clip that pushes inside, and also the prongs. You have like a flat, smooth piece with 2 very sharp spikes on the other end. So we need to work on this part and these 2 holes on the box bag. And first we need to prepare this metal piece. So this is the back of the metal piece, which has a few little metal notches wrapped around, and this is the front, which has the clip you can press in. Now this hardware is designed to fit a range of different thicknesses of leather, so it's actually too loose for this leather. So what you want to do is just squash it together until it makes a snug fit around the leather edge. So you want it to feel quite snug. You can adjust it, you can open it out, but you want that to fit really snugly, and those holes should line up really well on that side. So the clip should be on the outside, the same side as the logo. And this is the right side of the leather, which has the colour. And you can tell which side is the resin back, the back side of the leather, because it is black. That might be different in different colours, but if you've ordered the chestnut, this side will also be brown, but you know the right side because it's got more of a finish and a shine to the leather. So now we've lined up our push lock over those 2 corresponding holes. We take the 2 prongs and we push them through like so. So you end up with a nice little bar detail on the push lock, and we need to turn our box bag pattern around, and we need to fold those metal parts in. You can do this with the screwdriver provided, although it's quite small, but you can just fold them over bit by bit. You might also have some tools at home that you can use, such as pliers or something flat. Because what you want to do is really fold them inside. You don't want to bend them from the top. You want to fold them, because that will make a really secure push lock. If it does wobble ever so slightly, that's not a problem. Once you've bended the two metal prongs over, this lock will be quite secure and remain very secure for a long time. So that is the first part of your box bag complete, and that is what it should look like from the front and from the back. If you make any mistakes, you can, with your screwdriver, you can lift these up and start again if it's too loose, and then you can fold them over again with the screwdriver provided, or if that's too difficult, with a tool of your choice, or a pair of scissors or pliers or something that you might have at home. So now we've done the first part of the lock, we can move on to the second, which is on the other side of the bag, and it's these two holes here. So we now will use this rounded lock that almost has a shield shape, so it's flat on one side and it's rounded on the other side. So the flat side should be closer to this edge. So it should fit through those holes there, like so. So this bar should be closer to the top. The rounded edge should not be pointing upwards. So you should have your lock positioned in this way. Once you have your lock positioned in this way, again, we need to turn that over, and then we need to take this small square component and place it over the top of those two spikes. So there's two small square holes on this metal disc, on this thin metal plate. And again, these spikes need to fold inwards towards each other, not outwards, because that will ensure that after a while your hardware will come out of your bag. So you need to fold them inwards over these two metal parts. There's a hollow indent to allow for your metal spikes to fold over. Just be careful because they are very sharp, so you can use the edge of the screwdriver provided just to fold them over. If you find that too difficult, you can use some tools that you may have at home. That might be easier on your hands, depending on if you have any mobility issues or issues with your hands. But as I said, you can use just the edge of this screwdriver tool to fold them over relatively easy. It's a medium thickness metal, so it's not too hard to fold. But as I said, if you're having any problems, just use something, the edge of a hammer or the edge of some pliers, if you struggle with the small screwdriver. Now that is the lock complete for when we finish your bag, because that will make the closure, like so. And that's how these bags open and close. We have to do that bit first, as I said, because it's too difficult to do at the end when the bag is in a 3D shape. So now we can start constructing the bag. So we want to start first with these two holes here. So these holes will make the side of the bag, and they correspond exactly to these holes on this side. So if we're looking at the last piece of hardware we made, we're looking at this area, and it's not these two on the end, it's this one above. So it's not the last row down, it's the second row from the bottom and the one on the inside. It's not these either. So what we want to do is focus on these two holes to begin with. Now these two holes will correspond with these two areas here. So I'll just fold so you can see. So this metal part will go into this hole. So these here will fold into here. And what you can do to begin with, which can sometimes make it a little bit easier because this leather is a bit springy, is just to fold over these sides ever so slightly. Doesn't need to be a crisp fold, but it can just help because it's a very sturdy and strong leather. So if you start to fold some of these parts, the leather will resist you less when you're trying to put it together. So what we want to do is you want to fold this part inside. So these bits that we haven't put a screw in yet, we want to fold that inside, and this piece we want to fold over. So this screw needs to go through this hole. And on the other side, you want to make sure that hole goes over that screw and that you can see the screw on that side. Eventually, this will twist to create your box shape. So, but this is the screw that you want to get in first. So it's working on this one, going through to that one there. So the hole right on the corner. So when you have one in place, you can simply put one of the male screws inside to hold it in place. Do it by hand, and then you can use your small screwdriver to tighten that up. Which is very useful in these areas that are hard to reach. So you'll notice when you fold that piece over that all those holes match. So as long as all those holes match, don't worry about these two, that's for later on. As long as these 8 holes match, you know you've put this one in the right space. So the same again, this stud has to go through this hole. So we fold it over, and we can keep it at a bit of an angle because we can fold it into a box shape later. And you can wind the screw on by hand, and you can quite easily tighten it later on. The screws are designed to have a bit of movement because we have to twist and move these parts to make this bag. So we're starting to get a bit of a 3D shape now. And this is the front of the bag and this is the side. Now the next screw we want to work on is the one next door. So we'll do this side first. We'll put the female part of the screw on the outside and we'll find the hole next to it. And then on the inside, it can be difficult to see at this stage. On the inside, we need to put the screw, now that those two holes have lined up with the screw, like so. I've just threaded mine in by hand, and I now have two screws on the bottom. So that's now all lined up. Again, you can tighten it by hand and then use your screwdriver later on to make sure those two screws are secure. And you can see it's already starting to make this box-like shape. So same again on the other side. This screw needs to go through this hole. So that's why you have to twist to push that through that hole. And then you'll want to look inside to find where to place the screw. It's hard to see at this stage, but you will understand when you're working with your pieces. And then you can use your small screwdriver or one you have at home to tighten that up. So that's where we're up to so far. This part later on will fold over to make your box bag. These parts will fold to create this zero waste box bag in a really classic style based on vintage World War II accessories and ammunition cases. So now we've done that, you know, one of the next stages will be putting these studs in first and then these on the outside edge, just because we do these first because they're easier to reach, and then it's easier to line these one up on the outside. The same on this side, we will do these and then we'll do them. But before we do that, we need to close the bottom of the bag. So these holes correspond, these flaps correspond to those holes in the bottom of the bag. So you'll want to push them over. Now again, you will have to put a screw on the inside, and that's why we do that now, because we can open the bag up a little bit so we can reach inside. Later on when the bag is closed, it's difficult to screw these in. So we do these now while we still have room to reach inside. So I'll just put this screw in. That's going through the two pieces of leather. And I now need to put a screw inside. But this is where, if you want to make that bottom really tight, you might also add a washer to that screw. It's quite fiddly when you add a washer, but sometimes it just makes that seam on the bottom extra tight and gives you a really good finish on the bottom of your bag. So I'm just putting that screw on the back of this stud. And you might be able to just about see, it's hard to see in this light, but I now have the screw in the bottom. You'll be able to see better from your own angle. So now that's in place, I am going to tighten that up with the screwdriver from the inside. And I will also make a start on the other one. Exactly the same, it will fit through the 2 pieces of leather. So I want to just twist and push that over through that hole. And I want to look inside and hold it in place. So I want to look inside and hold it in place. And then I'm going to use a screw and a washer again, just because I want this join to be extra tight. So, and then I need to find the screw on the inside, and I'm going to tighten it up by hand. Now your kit will come with a few spare screws, so if you do lose any, it's not a problem. So you'll have a few spares in your kit. When I'm making bags to sell in galleries or exhibitions, I will often use a thread locker as well. So that ensures that these screws never come out. You can use wood glue or a little dab of nail varnish or some little dab of paint just inside the screw, just to make sure they never come out. I wouldn't recommend doing that in your first go, just in case you put the screw in the wrong place, and then it's very difficult to get the screw out. So this one can start to get quite difficult now and a little bit fiddly, so it might take you a couple of attempts to get this screw in, because it's a little bit hard to see. Sometimes if you use the torch on your phone or a little mag light as well, it can be very easy to see inside. It's difficult for me to see inside because I'm working at a bit of an angle so you can see what I'm doing. So it's a bit harder for me to see because I'm trying to make sure you can see how the bag goes together on this video tutorial. So I think I've tightened that up. I'm doing it by feel as well, so you really do have to feel your way around. And that is the bottom of this left hand side of your bag finished now. So we just need to do exactly the same with the right hand side. Then we can start building the sides of the bag. So you want to find the corresponding hole once you put your screw in those little flaps. Again, I'm going to use a washer, but you don't have to if it's too fiddly. I just find you get a bit of a neater seam on the bottom if you put a washer over this screw. It's just very difficult to hold onto all those things at the same time. But I'm doing this very quick, so you might want to pause, have a cup of tea, give your hands a rest. It's quite, leather work is very hard on the hands, so you might not want to do it all as quick as I'm doing it. I'm just trying to get it into a smaller video that you can pause and take your time, or you might spend a weekend. Normally when I do live workshops, we will make one of these in about 2 to 2.5 hours. But I'm used to, doing lots of these techniques because I make bags and sell them, all over Europe and England. So I'm very quick at some of these techniques. You'll find some of these techniques very fiddly to begin with, but when you get the knack, you will have no problem at all. So we're just working on the last stud now on the base, and the last washer and the last screw to finish the base. Then it starts to get a little bit easier when we're just doing the sides. These are the harder bits because we're having to reach right inside the bag, which means it also makes it very difficult for us to see. So you just need to get into an angle where you can see really well, or I'm now looking inside the bag so I can see where that screw is. So you just need to get into an angle where you can see inside, wherever you're positioned. So it's hard, especially when the leather is black on the inside. Some leather isn't. So now we have our base done, and we need to work on the sides. So we're going to do these screws first, then them, and then we'll do the outside ones. There is a reason. It does make it easier, because we can fold and see where the hole is. If we put that in first, we can't see where the hole is for this one. So we often in our workshops put these ones in first. And again, you'll just want to look inside to see where the screw is. I can feel that it's in the right place. So you just want to wind it on by hand. Then maybe use your little screwdriver just to tighten it up. Leather can vary in thickness across the whole bag. So you might find some screws are a little bit tight, some are a little bit looser. That's normal, but don't worry, the bag is designed to bend and twist a little bit. So having the screws not exactly tight in parts isn't a problem, because when we bend all this bag into a box shape, it all evens out. So I'm just continuing to work up this side. I'm nearly there. You know, you can pause this part of the video because you'll need to take your time with this. I'm just working very, very quick because it's a very familiar technique to me. So I'm putting the last screw on that row. I'll come back to these later. And now I will do the ones in this row. All these screws are Italian chrome plated screws. We use very high quality hardware and leather to make our bags, all sourced from very reputable factories and tanneries within the EU, and again some parts from Dublin as well, and all handcrafted, ready for you to make in Nottingham. So, and that's where I make a lot of my bags and products to sell, in my studio in Nottingham. So working with lots of different galleries in the UK. But obviously, you know, those bags can be quite expensive and not affordable. So making your own or joining a workshop means you can also learn some new skills. So if anything ever goes wrong with your bag, you will know how to repair it because you know how you made it, which is also really good. It means you can keep it for much longer, or you can make it as a gift for a friend. But it's very good to learn how to make your own products because it means you also know how to fix them. So you can look after your bag for a long time and make sure that it lasts. And if you have any issues with any of the screws, as I said, you'll have a couple of spare ones in your pack. If anything ever happens, you know, you can replace them. Or as I said, you can add a bit of wood glue, or a bit of glue or paint or nail varnish or anything that you could put inside, just a tiny little dot inside one of these female screws, so that when it dries, once you put the screw inside, the screw is never going to come out. But as I said, I wouldn't recommend doing that on your first attempt, just in case you get the screws in the wrong place, because then you're going to have a problem and you might need to use some pliers to cut the screws off, and you can get yourself in a bit of a mess. So I would just recommend putting the screws in without any thread locker, for your first attempt. And then if you do notice any coming loose later on, then you can go for that one. So that side's complete now. So the same on the other side. I'm just going to pop those screws through really quickly. As I said, I don't expect you to go this quick. You know, you'll want to pause this video, have a cup of tea. You'll probably drop a few screws on the floor. You'll probably struggle with some of these holes. I'm just used to finding them and doing it by feel. So I'm popping these screws through the hole on the other side to close up the sides of this classic box bag. I'm putting the screw on by hand and then using the screwdriver to tighten it up. And then the last one. So the sides are complete. I'll use this small little screwdriver that is included in your kit. And I'm pushing on the screw with my thumb also just to make sure I can get it as tight as possible. And that is the body of our box bags. So we have the back, we have the sides, we have the front, our locks in the right position. We've secured all the base really well. And now we need to move on to this top part. So what will happen is this will fold in and that will fold over like that. This will fold in, that one will fold over, which means we need the finished sides of the screws on this side. So if we put a screw, the finished side, through here, and one through here, like so, we can twist and turn this hole, so the one at the end of this curve, not this one, not that one, the one at the end of this curve, we can twist, which makes a right angle for our box bag. For the flap that will go over the overall box bag. And we do exactly the same on the other side. We turn this up and fold that over. Try and get into a good angle so you can see. You might want to put it flat on the table if that helps to hold it. And then you can tighten it up, or you can hold it in a different way once you've secured it, just to make sure that you can get it as tight as possible. So we have these two flappy bits now that we need to secure. So again, we put one screw through there and one through there, which will go into the last construction hole of our box bag. So it's a very clever overlapping zero waste pattern. All made from mostly one square of material, apart from the straps and the longer pieces that we often use the leftover parts of the leather to cut all those straps, which is difficult to line up sometimes because leather is a very irregular shaped material normally. So we just need to get this last one in on the flap. And then once we've done this one, we're going to move on to the next part of the workshop, which is making a strap, which is the same as belt making. Oh, I've just lost that screw. So if you're making a belt or a strap for a bag, you need to learn how to do a buckle and a keeper and how to line up the parts to make a proper strap. You'll notice on some of my other videos, such as the bucket bag video and other bag videos, it goes over that process as well. So maybe I might explain it a bit differently on other videos. So you can always check out some of the other videos. So that is the top flap of our box bag. And we now have a lovely minimalist square leather box bag with those details and those lovely Chicago screw details on either side, and it's completely closed at the bottom and all secure on the inside. And you can get quite a lot of items in these box bags, such as a water bottle, a purse, a small umbrella. So it's a really handy size and a really modern shape to style with any outfit. So that's the bag part done, and now we need to focus on the strap. I'm just going to clear some of this leather dust out the way. So you'll notice you have a longer strap, which has 4 holes on one side and 1 hole on the other side. So we don't need to do anything with that longer strap right now. We just need to do one thing with it later on. What we need to work on is the shorter strap. So the shorter strap has 4 holes, and in between those 4 holes it has a dash, almost like a bit of Morse code. And on the other side it just has 1 hole. So the side that has a dash is where the pin from the buckle needs to go through. So again, we have a wrong side to the leather, which is the more matte side, and the right side is the matte gloss side, the side that has a bit of a shine. Now this is a roller buckle, so it has a roller on one side to make it easy to adjust, and the pin fits over on top of that roller buckle. It doesn't fit the other way because the pin is pointing the wrong way. So the pin fits around that shape of the roller buckle. It's just got a slight hook to the end of it. So if you were to hold that pin, let it dangle down, you'll notice it's pointing in one direction. So when we have our holes and our dash and our holes, we want the end of the pin to be pointing slightly in that direction. We don't want the pin to be pointing that way or this way. We want the pin has got a little angle in it. So we want that angle to be going towards the strap. So it's got a slight curve. So we want to make sure that curve is pointing towards this strap. And then we put the strap through. When the pin gets to the dash underneath, we need to pop that pin through. And the pin sits on top of the roller. That's how you need to make sure your buckle looks before we move any further. Most people get it wrong the first couple of times, and it takes a few goes. So that pin should be resting comfortably on that roller. When you're confident that your buckle and strap matches mine, then you can fold it over. That's why we have a dash here, so this pin can move backwards and forwards when you want to adjust your strap. And these 2 holes will match the other 2 holes on the back. So when you're confident your buckle is in the right place, it should look like this with the pin on the outside of the roller. you can pop one screw through the first hole, and again you can use your tools provided just to tighten that up. To finish your metal belt buckle for your strap. And then we need to put another stud through here, but what we want to do first is to put this keeper, which has got a nice metal rounded edge and also a flat edge with a split in the middle. So this flat edge, we want to run it, you know, through. But when it gets to here, we want to make sure this flat edge with the split goes in between those two holes. Now it's in position, we can add our last screw on the strap, which secures the keeper that we use later on to tidy our strap. And that's how you make a belt, and that's how you will make a buckle. It's the same if you were making a large belt for trousers as well. So, you know, you could use this technique on a range of different buckles. Sometimes you use a metal keeper, sometimes you might have a leather one, or, you know, something made out of a different material. So now you can get your longer strap, which on one side has a range of different holes to suit some different body shapes and sizes, and you can, you know, just put it through one of the holes for now with your pin, and then, you know, hold that in place and use the keeper to create your strap. Now we're nearly finished now. We just have 2 more screws to do, and that is to attach our bag strap to these 2 holes on the back. So you'll notice on the end of your bag straps you've got 2 more holes. So they're the ones we're going to do next. Now it might seem counterintuitive to begin with. So you'll put your leather through the hole in the top, and I often on the left side, that's the one with the buckle on. The strap on the right side was the one with just all the holes, but depending on how you wear it, you can try a few different ways there before you decide. So on the inside, you know if you've got it the right way around because you should be able to see a little bit of colour. So you should be able to see the right side of the leather coming through. So we pop a screw through there, and then we need, I'll just move this strap out the way, and then we need to put our strap over that screw like so. You might need to jig a little bit. When we have our strap over the screw, we can then add our second to last screw, and again we can tighten that up by hand once you've caught the thread. And we do exactly the same on the other side. So we don't want to get our strap twisted. So we want to make sure it's not getting twisted. round and round when we put it through again, otherwise it's not going to be comfortable. So make sure we keep it flat and that it just loops around. So we can just slot it through like so. Put another screw there. And then we're ready to put our strap over the screw and to complete the box bag workshop. Once this is done, you're ready to go and you can close your box bag. It's ready to wear. The strap is all complete. If you do have any soft wax at home or from any good shoe shop, just clear, you can wax it to protect it. This leather already has a protective surface on top of it, so you'll find it's quite durable. It lasts a long time. So, and there you have it. So there's your final box bag in a really classic vintage style. All completed without any machines, in a really sustainable way, just using some clever pattern cutting techniques, some quality hardware and screws, and a clever pattern, so you can totally make your own luxury or designer bags at home without any tools or equipment. So I hope you enjoyed that workshop. Please subscribe to the channel for updates on more bags, more workshops and kits, maybe some events or live workshops in your area. We do quite a few around England. We do quite a lot in Nottingham, so do come along for a live one. We do lots around Christmas time where you can come and make your own Christmas gifts. So subscribe to the channel for more news, or just follow me on @Mattocks on Insta, or Mattocks Bags on Facebook. Okay, well done everyone.